Hey everybody, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I'm sorry I'm having a hard time getting the camera to stay going. So I'm going to finish chapter 2, the mystery car on Ghost Dog of Stony Ridge. So Boot Malone is telling him he doesn't have a hound for them. But he offers Alfred a black dog. He says, no thanks. I'll tell you the truth, if I was to find such a rare kind of critter, I'd have to charge you so much you'd have to bring me all the gold in Fort Knox to get him away from me, said Boots. DJ glanced at his friend. Alfred's disappointment was keen. Both boys got up from where they'd been squatting on their heels. Grandpa straightened and picked up his cane. Well, thanks anyway, Alfred said. Much obliged for coming out, Boots replied. If I ever hear tell of a real bugle-voiced hound in these parts, I'll keep you in mind. On the drive back into town, Alfred slumped in his seat, his chin set on his chest. DJ tried to cheer him up. We'll get you a hound, he said. Grandpa, I'll help. You'll help too, won't you? Glad to keep an eye peeled, boys. But like the man says, a real bugle-voiced hound is pretty hard to find. I'll find him, Alfred muttered. Well, in the meantime, DJ said cheerfully, how about helping me solve the mystery of the dying fish? Grandpa chuckled. DJ, if you aim to unravel the riddle of them there fish, you should look up that red-haired daughter of the preacher. Kathy, isn't that her name? Kathy Stagg, DJ answered. I know she's very big on environmental things, but every time we talk, we end up in an argument. Makes you about half mad, does it, DJ? More than a little bit, he admitted. Grandpa cackled like a Rhode Island red hen when DJ asked why. The old man just smiled and he wouldn't answer. But he whistled happily as he drove back to town. DJ turned his mind to winning the prize for the best environmental story. He wanted Alfred to have his hound. But more than anything, DJ wanted to win that prize. He wanted some proof that he was a good writer. DJ felt good about being a stringer for the Gazette in the Indian Springs. It was nice to know he was learning the discipline of writing at least one story per week. People even recognized his name in the paper, and they knew he someday planned on being an author of books. But it was the challenge of writing something bigger that drove the mountain boy. That was why the environmental story contest intrigued DJ so much. It was even better when there was a mystery. And now there were a couple. DJ wanted to know why the fish were dying, but he also planned to find out why the heavyset man had run him, just skipped a page, and Alfred off from their shortcut to Sudden Lake. Grandpa slowed the pickup as he came to the end of the bouncy, rutted gravel road that led from Boot Maloney's place. Then he eased the pickup onto the paved country road. As the truck gained speed, DJ saw something in the rearview mirror on the passenger side. A small foreign car pulled up from behind the shade of an oak tree. The black car stayed far behind, but DJ nudged his friend. Hey. Alfred leaned over and looked in the rearview mirror. His friend frowned, but obeyed. I don't see anything except a little black car. He was waiting for us when we pulled out back at Boot Malone's road. Alfred looked sharply at DJ and asked, Are you sure? DJ nodded. Too far back to see who's in the car, but I'm sure he's following us. One way to find out, Alfred said. He turned to Grandpa at the wheel. Mr. Dillon, would you turn off at the right up ahead? Guess so. Why? Just want to check something, okay? Playing a little game, are you, Alfred?" "Something like that." Grandpa didn't slow down until he was almost to the side of the road. Then he suddenly hit the brakes, kept the pickup from fishtailing, and cut sharp abruptly onto the other county paved road. It climbed rapidly around the curves into a shadowy world where great conifers seemed to meet like a cathedral dome over the road. Both boys tried to stay calm, but DJ saw his grandfather was stealing sideways glances at them and smiling a little. As they were rounding another curve and still climbing, the old man suddenly hit the brakes. He pulled over quickly into the flexible, slender limbs of some young ponderosas growing thick and green right beside the road. "Boys," he said with a wide grin, "if you're wanting to know if that black car is following us, just sit quiet for a spell. Ah, here he comes." DJ leaned back against the seat and slid down so that his eyes were just above the dashboard. Alfred did the same. Grandpa smiled and pulled his sweaty hat down over his eyes. The foreign car growled up the twisting, turning grade and then past them in a rush of noise. Grandpa frowned and pushed his hat back on his forehead. "Well now, don't that beat all? Wasn't that the same heavy-set Jasper who had my rocker?" Jasper was another name for a guy. DJ and Alfred exchanged glances. "Looked like him," DJ said. "Now, boys, I got to admit I thought you was just having a little pretend mystery fun when you had me turn off sudden like back there. But I'm of mind that that guy was following us for sure." "What'd you make of it?" "Don't know, Grandpa," DJ said thoughtfully, "but there's sure something funny going on." Grandpa eased the truck into gear and back onto the road, heading back the way that they'd come. "Now, I'm not one to go making something out of nothing, but I'd feel better if you boys played everything plumb safe for a while." "We will, Grandpa." "Probably should report it," Alfred said, looking over his shoulder. "Except there's not anything really to report, I guess. But I sure got a funny feeling." "Me too," DJ agreed. "Well, Dad's going to take me to Indian Springs tomorrow to turn in my stories for the Gazette. Maybe I can ask Mr. Kirsten, the editor, what he thinks. But it sure doesn't make any sense to me." Not to me either. I think something's going on." That's finally the end of chapter 2. Sorry it took 2 readings. So I'm just going to say good night for now because I don't know when this camera is going to turn off. And I love you. I really do. So I want you to remember the more important thing is, though, that God loves you and He always will. So I hope you're enjoying this story in the day or in the night, whenever you're watching it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking is going to happen next. And I'll be reading to you again very soon. Maybe another story tonight. I'm not sure since I'm behind. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Okay, good night. God bless.